Our forces on the ground in Gaza, and what can you tell us about the results of the expanded operations that we saw overnight?
Well, Tom, thank you for having me this morning. I cannot provide any information about military strategy moving ahead or anything operational taking place right now in Gaza for very obvious reasons. That would be very irresponsible on my behalf. You can call this stage 2 or stage 1.5 of the operation to dismantle Hamas. We said that this stage was coming, and the IDF is operating with the goal of bringing their regime, their murderous terrorist regime, down. And we are doing what we said we will do. We are trying to maximize the pressure on Hamas to bring to their dismantlement or surrender, all while trying to do our best to minimize civilian casualties. As you know, we called on the residents of northern Gaza to evacuate, and we know what we're doing. We're acting very judiciously and in a surgical way there.
Israel releasing some incredibly gruesome video and unseen body footage of the terror attacks this week to push back on those who are casting doubt around the world about the atrocities. What is your response to UN organizations, Doctors Without Borders, and other aid groups who are openly now chastising Israel for the Gaza assault following the horrific attacks on October 7th?
So a few things are important to remember here. You're right. The October 7th massacre is what dragged us into this war that we didn't start. We didn't want. We weren't even expecting this war, but we had to launch a counteroffensive because we're not looking for a short-term fix here. We need to solve this problem. Hamas can be no longer. But you also have to remind the viewers here that it's not just the October 7th massacre. Israelis have been living under impossible conditions. Over 8,100 rockets have been fired in 22 days of war. So there's ongoing fighting also within Israel territory, if you will, in the skies. We have the Iron Dome intercepting some of these missiles, but just yesterday there was a direct hit in a building in Tel Aviv. Now, as for your questions, it is it's disheartening, it's outrageous that there are people out there casting doubt about the magnitude of and the brutality of these atrocities that Hamas has carried out. This is why we put forward the very disturbing, very unbelievable, unfathomable pictures that we did to show the world what has transpired here. It's important that people understand that they turned people into ashes and chopped body parts of families before they shot them, fired indiscriminately inside a pit of partygoers who were trying to defend themselves. It is very important that the world understand what happened here, what Israel is dealing with.
Tal, along those lines, it has been reported now that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin reiterated his concerns about civilian casualties to Israeli defense officials on a call yesterday, as if to suggest that Israel was not doing enough to try to protect civilians. And I'd like to get your reaction to that.
Well, we are communicating with our American counterparts hourly, I would say, and they know what we're doing, and we are getting these messages, as you said. You see, Israel is doing everything possible to minimize civilian casualties. We have given the population in northern Gaza so much time and a prior warning to evacuate to safer havens in the southeast, and many of them have arrived in these areas. In fact, Hamas is trying to set roadblocks and block their way because Hamas is committing a double war crime here. Not only they're shooting at us and targeting us, they're also putting the civilian population in Gaza in harm's way, which is something that Israel doesn't want to do, obviously. Yeah. And we're doing everything possible. We do not target civilians.
Tal, is Israel prepared to attack Iranian positions and if its proxies continue to attack Israel?
We certainly hope, Tom, that this war against Hamas does not develop into a full-fledged war on other fronts. And we have warned, and President Biden, when he was here, he also sent out a very clear warning to all of our adversaries across the region, all of Iran's proxies. This is all they're doing. As you know, they're funding Hamas, funding Hezbollah, funding Islamic Jihad, the Houthis in Yemen, and whatnot. Don't try us, don't test us, because we will react decisively.
Right. Okay, and we're going to have to leave it there. We do appreciate you taking the time. Tal Heinrich, Israeli government spokeswoman.